class writer with us tonight, Jeyamohan, who's here to talk about his story collection, Stories of the True, which is published by Farrar, Straus and Giroux, which is a world-class publisher, if I ever knew one here in the United States. Welcome to the United States. Welcome to Third Place Books. If you may know us from our other two locations in Lake Forest Park or Seattle's Seward Park neighborhood. I want to plug who are coming to our stores these upcoming few months. And on November 5th, up at our Lake Forest Park store, we have Gary Steingart, who's one of the funniest people alive, I think, and he's going to be discussing his new novel, Vera or Faith. We host nearly 300 author events a year across our three stores, and if you never want to miss out on seeing your favorite author come to town, I highly encourage you to sign up for our email newsletter at thirdplacebooks.com. Is this anyone's first time at the bookstore? Well, we really hope to have you back. For those who are returning, welcome back. It's good to see you. Today's conversation will take place between Jeyamohan, Madan Kumar, who's going to be moderating tonight, and Jiyashita, who's sitting here to my right, your left, and we'll conclude here with a public signing. We'll also have time for your questions during the last 15 or so minutes of this presentation, and we'll take as many questions as time allows. I will now ask you to please turn off your cell phones, any other noise-making devices you may have on you for the duration of this conversation. And a reminder that every purchase you make tonight, whether that is a book or a tote bag or a pair of socks, it truly does support the future of our author series. You're helping support an independent business. And you can purchase copies of Stories of the True and have it signed here tonight, and probably tonight only. This is a very rare circumstance. We are all already almost sold out. One of you came up and asked for 20 copies of the book, which I was not anticipating tonight. So thank you all for your patronage of the bookstore, and we really appreciate having you here with us. And now I'm pleased to introduce tonight's speaker. I'm actually going to let Madan give the majority of the introduction tonight, but I do want to say something about this book, Stories of the True. It was translated by Priyamvada Ramkumar, and in these dozen minutely observed stories, Jeyamohan juxtaposes the great themes of Indian life, politics, religion, caste, violence, in illuminating relation to the quiet internal machinery of his characters. The wonderful Vivek Shanbag, who's a writer I really love, author of Gachar Gochar, writes that our understanding of contemporary India is incomplete without reading Jeyamohan. So please join me in welcoming this wonderful author this evening. We're going to bring Madan up here to give a proper introduction.
Thank you, Spencer. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. It's a real honor to introduce one of the most significant voices in contemporary Tamil literature, writer Jeyamohan. Across more than 3 decades, his writing has explored the moral, philosophical, and spiritual dimensions of human life with unmatched depth and intellectual vigor. He is the author of Venmurasu, the longest novel ever written in any language, a monumental retelling of the Mahabharata that spans over 26,000 pages and took nearly a decade to complete. This epic work stands as a literary feat in world literature, not merely for its scale, but for its artistic ambition, reimagining ancient mythology through the lens of modern psychological insight and moral complexity. Jeyamohan's literary journey has been marked by constant evolution, from his journey through postmodernist work to his embrace of classical narrative forms to transmodern literature. He has remained fearlessly independent in his artistic vision. His novels like Rubber, Vishnupuram, and Pinthodurum Nerlin Kural have pushed the boundaries of Tamil fiction, and along with his short stories, he have earned his comparisons to the great masters of world literature. Through translations like Stories of the True, Jeyamohan's vision and storytelling are reaching new readers around the world. Yet, as someone who can read him in his original language Tamil, I feel especially privileged to experience the beauty and precision of his words. Beyond his creative work, Jeyamohan has been a vital public intellectual, engaging readers through his widely read blog and essays on literature, culture, and spirituality, fostering a vibrant community of thoughtful readers and writers. Please join me in welcoming writer Jeyamohan to Seattle, and I'll hand over to Rashida. She will be asking questions to Ramna. Thank you.
Hello everyone. I would like to start off by reading an excerpt from one of the 12 short stories in this collection called The Meal Tally. If I were to notice even an iota of difference in his gaze or demeanor, I resolved that that would be the last time I visited the place. If he entreated me a little more than usual, that too was a sign that he did notice, that he did keep tally. But Ketho Sahib went on serving me food at his usual pace. He poured me my usual share of fat. Eat the chicken pileja, he said, placing a half chicken on my leaf. He followed it up with some fish. Was he really a part of this world? Was this a mapila or a jinn? It was a bit frightening too. When I was about to have my last course of rice, he served the blackened dredges of chili powder that remained in the wok after frying, along with the charred chicken leg. I had always tried not to let on how much I enjoyed this dish. It didn't surprise me, though, that he knew it nevertheless. As I mixed the powder into the rice, my heart caved in. I could not hold back my tears. No one had served me food with such affection until then. Amma found it impossible to ration among all of us the kanji she made from a single cup of rice without swearing, cursing, and bristling with irritation. Here was the first human who cared if I ate to a full stomach, the first hand that served me without keeping tabs. They talk about the hand that feeds you. They talk about carrying to the grave the memory of the maternal hand. With the wrist adorned by an amulet, stubby parched fingers, and a hairy forearm, wasn't this bare hand the true hand of a mother? From that day on, I did not pay Kettle Sahib. I swear it wasn't because I thought of it as an expense. It was because I thought of it as my mother's food. Not just for a day or two, but for 5 whole years, I did not pay Kettle Sahib a single paisa. I will leave you all with a glimpse into that story, The Meal Tally. Now I have a couple of questions I would like to ask Mr. Jeyamohan. Firstly, I want to say I'm extremely grateful for this opportunity because when I first read this book, it really allowed me to explore India's rich history and the moral issues in which you so eloquently encapsulated into these 12 short stories. My first question is, many of the people here, this is their first time discovering this book, Adam, or Stories of the Jew. What sort of emotional or moral journey do you believe or hope that it takes them on?
Good evening, everybody. First of all, I have to say some words about my accent in English because it is a very alien language to me. So I have to speak very carefully to communicate. So consider my voice as an original voice from Tamil Nadu. So you have to be a little bit patient, more attentive to understand. Similarly, this collection is an original fiction from India. It is not a fiction catered for the taste of American or reader or American or fiction reader. It is an original work written for Indian taste. So you have to be more careful to understand this text. It has a lot of cultural nuances and nuances of life, particularly Indian and Tamil life. So I'm happy to see the book here because I think this is the first book from Tamil Nadu appearing in US. So it's a path-breaking book. Maybe more books will follow in this road. So I am very happy here. Thank you for everybody. So, see, I consider myself as an idealist. I met a lot of persons with great ideals in their life. At the age of 19, I left my home and wandered throughout India as a beggar to become a spiritual person. And I found my spirituality in India as a sannyasi, as a mendicant. And I was full of hope and idealism till my age of 50. But suddenly I found I was losing my idealism. Suddenly I felt something emerging from inside. And I wrote one story in this work. It is called Aram, the first story. I completed the story within 6 hours continuously, right? That story. And after coming down, having a cup of tea, and I wrote the second story. I published the stories continuously in my blog. One story for every day. And I completed this whole collection within 13 days. It is a kind of resurrection for me. I emerged from my ashes through these stories. I regained my faith on idealism and spirituality through this story. That's why the stories, these 12 stories are the most popular stories in Tamil Nadu, not only in Tamil Nadu. Even in India, this collection is the most popular short story collection ever written. So first time it is appearing in English. Yeah, sometimes it seems a little bit primitive. It's not so modern, fiction with postmodern tendencies. But I regained my sensibility or ethics through these stories. So I would consider these stories as transmodernist stories. Transmodernism is a way of writing with some high axioms in it. Reinventing the axioms in a postmodern world is actually transmodernism. And I dare to label the stories like that. So why these stories are very popular in Tamil Nadu, in Telugu, in Kannada, in Malayalam, and all other Indian languages? The reason is what? Because this India is continuously losing its hope and faith on high morals and ideals presented by Gandhi and other heroes. So we have to rediscover it. I think the similar situation is prevailing in USA also. We are losing our faith on politics and great ideas. We cannot rely upon any political idea or any great ideas today, but we can invent great ideals from the life of ordinary people around us. So these stories present the virtues or morals or ethics or the spirituality of ordinary people. That's why I present this story as a declaration of my spirituality. Thank you.
When I first read this book, that's exactly what I thought too. I enjoyed how it focused more on the extraordinary acts of ordinary people. And when I first read it, I thought it was deeply personal, but also universal at the same time. So, what kind of reader were you imagining when you wrote these stories, or were you writing for yourself first?
So while I am talking about these stories throughout here in US, a major question I am getting from the younger generation Indian students here is, what is the relevance of these stories in US today? I said, these stories are very unique and very regional. That's why they are very universal. That's the reason. So today the intellectual world is standardizing us continuously. You can read a lot of books here. I was roaming up, I was looking the cover pages of major books here. Almost same sentences behind every book. Almost same sentences. New York bestseller, awful, great. Almost every sentence is same. Almost every book has the same style, created by excellent editors. They are nothing cherishable for a simple consumer. It is for only good literature reader. This very regional text, this very particular text talking about Tamil culture to a Tamilian. But it's a revolt against the standardization going on around us. I expect a literary reader who in search for a particular taste from India, the original taste of India. It's not for a common story reader. He cannot cherish the novel and the short stories. But if he is in search of a original taste of a remote area of the world, he can find it. So we are all here to revolt against the great consumerist tendencies of our time, the consumerism in intellectual areas also. So if you are in that mood, you can cherish the novel, you can enjoy this text. So I am inviting all the younger minds here who have a desire to invent their identity, who have a quest for their own spirituality. They can read the text. So this is a literary text, not an entertainment work. So I always believe that there are some people everywhere who have a personal quest for spiritualism and aesthetics. So my readers are that unknown persons living everywhere in the world.
That was very well said, thank you. Your stories often begin with an ethical tension or a single vividly human moment. What is your process when you begin a story? Do you start with a moral question or with a human being in mind?
To be precise, I start with a sentence, not an idea, not a character. Often I have a different kind of sentence in my mind, and I can follow the mood and the texture of the sentence, and I can write a short story. And sometimes I used to write a novel from a sentence, from a starting sentence. Very rarely I used to have some kind of vague images, and I would follow that image and I would complete the short story or novel. But I used to write very fastly. I never made any research for any my work, but I am always in research for my culture and my history. But I never made any research for my work. If I have a sentence, I used to start the story and complete it within one few hours. I completed a novel on a single sitting, writing continuously 38 hours. So that's my way of writing. I would write like a madman dreaming. So I would like to say the stories of this novel, this collection, as dreaming through language. I am actually playing with the language, and suddenly I would fall into a dream, and I'm actually dreaming through that language. So that's the way of my writing. I never calculate anything. I never arrange anything for fiction. It will come like a dream. See, dreams are most logical things we used to have. Our thoughts are not logical, but our dreams are very, very logical, aesthetically, and sometimes philosophically. So these are my personal dreams.
Every writer's relationship with their work changes over time. Is there a particular story in Aram that you view differently now versus when you first wrote it?
No, I feel almost all major themes of humanity has no development over the years. T.S. Eliot once wrote, you may heard about T.S. Eliot, he is an old critic. belongs to my age. T.S. Eliot once wrote, art never develops. The themes of art is always changing. Art is a static thing. Similarly, axioms, morals, and high values are static things. They never change. They never grow. They never develop. The themes they deal is actually changing over the years. So the major stories in this collection deals only with the human basic questions and the basic axioms in life. And I feel they are perennial. They won't change over the ages.
That actually leads me to my next question, which are the stories in this novel are set in times spanning India's history. If Adam was written as a reflection of the present world today, what new moral challenges would appear in the stories, or would the basis remain the same?
Yeah, see, I found the Aram, I mean the high virtue, in that old lady, in that short show. That's, that the ideal of their story, that woman is still living in India, in Tamil Nadu around us. We can find her anywhere. I would like to refer one real incident. You may heard about a murder of some journalists in Madurai. Some thugs burned some journalists in Madurai, in a place in Tamil Nadu, Madurai. And there was a court case going on. Even today, the trial was going on now. For past 8 years, the trial was on. 28 witnesses changed their affidavits on trial. But only one, millions of money to her. She never changed their statement. And they are waiting the for her death to close the case. So she is the heroine of this story. You can find women like her are all around us in Tamil Nadu. So I found my high ideals in that ordinary woman. I heard about her, and I was seeing women like her throughout my life. So that's why I said I believe people may change, but the value system of the people will prevail around us. We can rely on human beings.
That was beautifully said. Thank you.
Sorry, I cannot express myself in English very well, but I will try.
We got it. It's beautiful.
So many of these stories are thought provoking, and their impact lingers long after the last word is read. After someone finishes reading Adam or Stories of the True, is there a specific idea, feeling, or reflection that you would like them to leave with?
See, these stories are talking about high value system and idealism and the spiritualism of India, but they are not propaganda materials. They are not insisting anything. They are telling stories of people. They are narrating the events of our life. That's all. So if a patient reader, if a good literary reader can read a lot more than the first version, he can read a lot of subtext over the inside the stories. For example, in the story Aram, actually the story is about that woman and expressing great value system in that. But you can read the mind of the listener also. His dreams, how he is dreaming the ethics in his dream, in his personal self. Similarly, a lot of nuances in the story. That's the major thing I have to say, that these stories are not propaganda materials. They are not preaching you ethics or morals. They are presenting stories. I believe that story is the best, the thing story. I mean, the the particular linguistic form called story is the best invention of human being. It is better invention than fire or wheel. Because we are telling stories for the past 10,000 or 20,000 years. Continuously we are telling stories. Story is a very remarkable thing in our life. So these are strong stories. I never claim these stories are high moral, philosophical things are not, but they are still good stories. A story is a great thing. Every story has more layers in it. A good reader can invent a lot of layers in any good story. So that's the one thing I have to say about my stories. The second thing is, when modern literature started at Europe and 100 years ago, suddenly the focus shifted towards the author. I think when you are reading something written by Kafka or Camus, actually you are listening the author, the life of the author. In the West, they wrote a lot about the personal life of the authors. The focus is on author. So they used to ask, oh, the life of the author, the spirit of the author, the psychological Dharma of the author. Personally, I feel author is not an important person in any text. Homer was a bard, and bard, B-A-R-D, bard, a singer. The bard who sang the high values and heroes. Still, I feel myself as a bard. I am here to sing great things and great persons. I am not important in my stories. I am just a singer of my stories. That's the thing I want to say to a Western reader. So consider me as a bard, very ancient person. You may live here, you may die, but I will be here for more 1,000 years because I am a bard.
Thank you. Can we have some questions from the audience now?
Sure.
If you have any questions for the author.
All these stories are based on some real life incidents, right? Are there any 100% fiction story, or it's all are based on some real life incidents?
Every story in this collection, there are 12 stories in this collection. All of the stories are based on real life incidents of real persons. On 8 stories, the real persons' names are mentioned in the story. And other stories, the names are hidden because they have some kind of personal things they don't want to express themselves. Yeah, these stories are fiction. These are not journalistic narrations. So fiction doesn't mean that they are lie. Fiction is actually better truth. But fiction means concentrated truth. So fiction used to focus on the inner truth of the events. Fiction used to give a compound narrative, a structured narrative. To give a structure, I used fiction. But I never changed the characters of any persons. I never changed any of the real events of their life. I believe in fiction, and actually, as a writer, I have a deep disbelief for any non-fiction. I don't read any, I don't believe any non-fiction, either in politics or social or biography, anything. If you are writing a non-fiction, it is a half-truth. If it is a real fiction, it is 100% true. That's my idea.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say just one thing, not much of a question, but an observation. So I probably read 10 times the original Aram in Tamil. So every time the new layer spills off, some of them I can explain, some of them I can't. But what it gave me is a kind of a manual for identifying people with similar qualities in my life around us. Until that point, it wasn't like, so people with Aram are like, Gandhis, right? Like, so Nehru. But when we started doing this, suddenly a maid appear to be having a really high value systems that I can equal to this. And identifying those people around me kind of gave us kind of a purpose for the life. And like, I wouldn't say that. It made me more attached to people, made me attached to culture, and I'm more proud about from where I'm coming from, than I was before. So thank you, sir. Thank you really much.
Yeah. She read the story of milk. It was about a person called Ketel Sahib who served food freely for a lot of persons. After publishing of the story, I was getting letters from my readers, and they were telling about hundreds of Ketel Sahib throughout Tamil Nadu. Throughout Tamil Nadu, you can see almost every city have one or two Ketel Sahibs. Self-love persons serving food for poor people. And I visited one person in Erode. He was giving food for 5 rupees for poor people. And I was in the queue. I came near to him and I asked for food for 5 rupees. He looked at my dress and he said, "You seem a wealthy person. Go and buy food from somewhere else. This is for poor people." So he was a Ketel Sahib. So there are people around us with great values, and they are living a more contented life than us. We are focusing on our personal gains and power. We are losing something very vital. And people living without any worry or without any care for power or money, they are actually earning something more. They are living a better life. That is very evident. That's what the contribution of this work to a reader. That wisdom is the contribution of that work.
We are a diaspora community. We left our roots in a land, and this book has stories from that land. And if somebody who's born here, growing up here, if that person reads this story, do you think this will introduce their and the land they left to them? Can they find their roots through these stories? Identity and identity crisis is a big deal for the second generation Americans here. And do you think these stories are relevant to them? Thank you.
The first thing about roots, I don't think a particular land or a country or a culture can only provide a root to us. We can be rooted in any culture. See, a lot of missionaries from US, they are great American missionaries, American Mission of India. They traveled all the way from Philadelphia to Madurai, and they started colleges there. They had their roots in Madurai, not in Philadelphia. You can see a lot of missionaries throughout the world. They developed their roots in the countries where they migrated. That's possible. Root is rooted means rooted with a culture, with a depth, with the depth of humanity. A particular region or particular culture or language or particular nation is not essential for rootedness. I feel personally very rooted in my land, in Kanyakumari district of Tamil Nadu. Similarly, I felt rooted in Himalayas also. Feel a spiritual surge while I was there. So it's my land. Though I am not an American citizen, Mount Sasa is my place. I can find my ancestors there. So rooted is not sticking onto a particular thing, getting basic images and emotions and values from the past is root. Getting the basic archetypes and images from the past is called root. So even in this story, one story is about Gary Davis. He belongs to New York, right? He died at New York. He visited India more than 2 or 3 times now. The story narrates the life of Gary Davis. So I will consider Gary Davis one of my ancestors, one of my gurus. So what's the difference in it? Nitya Chaitanya Edi is my guru. Similarly, Gary Davis is also my guru. So root is a wrong word. Sometimes we used to use the word, the root, as identity, simple identity. Identifying with the past of humanity is something totally different with identifying with a particular culture. I won't advocate for that kind of rootedness. The second thing is, this work will easily introduce the reality of Tamil Nadu, the inner reality of Tamil Nadu, both the reality and the inner reality of Tamil Nadu to an expatriate Tamil person. So if a Tamil girl like her, who has no connection with Tamil Nadu, she don't know Tamil, original Tamil, but she can understand what is Tamil Nadu, what is the spiritual core of Tamil Nadu through this story. These stories are actually introducing the darkness and the light inside the darkness of Tamil Nadu. They are not giving a glorifying picture of Tamil Nadu. They are actually showing the caste system, the oppression on women, and the exploitations, poverty, and every darkness in India, particularly in Tamil Nadu. And through the darkness, some light is always emerging from the minds of poor people, ordinary people. A good reader can understand that light also. So I feel this is a good book to give to your children, to introduce Tamil Nadu to.
Do you see Aram 2? Like, do you see new people? Is there any possibility of Aram 2?
Second part.
Yeah, like, do you see more people? That's one question. And second question is, any people in this story, did they read the story and then talk to you more about it? Is there any such incident?
First thing, I wrote it in an emotional upset 15 years ago. So it won't happen again. After this collection, I wrote the entire Mahabharata has 26,000 pages now. So I traveled a lot. So I cannot go back to that particular mood now. I wrote a lot of stories after that. But this is a period. I cannot visit that period again. This past. So there is no chance for a second part of that collection. And another thing is, a few characters are still living. Yeah, particularly the hero of 100 Armchairs. He is living in Mumbai now. He is almost an elder brother for me. He read the story and he wrote to me that he wrote that my brother, he addressed me as younger brother. See, you are imagining my life in this text, but through that imagination, you are actually suffering all my sufferings in the text. So I am sad for that. That was a very emotional letter to me. He is now 72, I think 73, 10 years elder than me. He is living in Mumbai, hearing the story, and he said it was a good story.
Yeah, I have the same related question as emotion. Like 12 stories, when I read each one of them, each of the stories give different emotions. And some stories, like, you don't go away from imagination for like a couple of weeks. It's still there in the dream. Each story has, as I said, like different emotions. When you were writing that, how was your emotions, like, how can I switch between one story to other next day with various emotions in place?
See,
And the last question I have is like your advice on how to compartmentalize the emotion and switch them from other.
see, there's an interesting thing about emotions in literature, particularly. After the emergence of modernism in Western literature, particularly European literature, the readers are trained to be skeptic on emotions. Generally, a Western reader won't be emotional while reading a book. The word emotion is actually considered as a negative factor in literature. For a long time, I too believed that being emotional while reading is a wrong thing. Or emoting people through a text is a wrong thing. I should give the emotion with a ink filler, with a very controlled and articulated emotion should be given to a reader. That was my belief. And my teachers like Sundar Ramasamy, Aswamitran and other seniors taught me that emotion is not a good thing in a text. I too believed that until I wrote this story. While writing these stories, I was overwhelmed by emotions, and sometimes tears fall on my computer while I'm writing the stories. And I am not ashamed to be emotional now because I'm a matured man now. So I want to be more emotional now. So the modern world is continuously losing its emotions, and we are becoming very, very dry people in our life. So being emotional is a great thing, and my advice as a writer to the world is be emotional. So these are the secrets of these stories. So these stories, every story has its own emotional structure in the structure. See a story like Koti. It is a sarcastic story, and its emotion is entirely different. And another one, the story Mail Kalut. It has an entirely different emotion in it. But in our personal life, we are very easily easily changing our emotions. It's not a very big task. Like we are eating all kind of tastes at the same time. We are actually having different emotions in our life throughout our day. So I never try to change my emotion in the story. The story changed my emotions continuously. So sometimes some stories are written. I wrote 2 stories in a day with a different emotional structure. I changed my mood from one story to another very casually and naturally. If you can shift your emotion from one emotion to another, or mindset from one emotion to another, so naturally, it's a good thing, it's a great thing. So being emotional and be transient is a great thing in a modern life.
So, what is Aram according to you? Because some of the characters in the story were put under very hard circumstances to prove their virtue, or some are being selfless and showing their Aram. So, but as common people like us, it's like we do our job, yes, we take care of people around us. And is there anything like showing integrity, like doing the right thing when nobody is looking? So, are there any other ways that a normal person like us follow Aram, or at least move closely towards that path? Any advices?
So I don't have any advice, but I have a quotation from Mahabharata told by Vyasa, sage Vyasa, nearly 3,500 years ago. The line is like, everyone knew what is Dharma, yet discussing and defining dharma is a difficult thing in the world.
So yes, the first question.
That's the definition of sage Vyasa. Everyone knows what is dharma, what is aram, what is virtue, what is the righteous thing. But if you want to discuss about it, it becomes very vague continuously. The more you become intellectualist, it becomes very complicated. But you know that. We are here because we know that. Right? So every common person without any intellectual quality naturally knew what is dharma, what is aram, or what is high value or spiritualism. Right? But if you try to discuss it with him, he cannot explain it. So intellectualizing certain things, particularly great value systems or aesthetics, makes them more complicated and meaningless. If you are here to discuss what is beauty, you cannot reach a conclusion. But everyone of us know what is beauty. If you are here to discuss about dharma, we cannot go for a conclusion. We will be confused, but we know that. So, I feel that creative writing is not giving a definition to anything. It actually tries to make you feel. This book won't give any definition, but the story can make you feel like you, feel is the correct word. You can feel what dharma is. That's the difference.
Thank you.
So I want to ask a question on the popular story, the Elephant Doctor. I think of all the stories, this story talks about a person who has dedicated himself to nature. So his story has been very popular, like in India also, like among all the other stories. Is this like, what is the value or virtue towards nature for human being? Do we need to, like, as human being, we need to separate ourselves from nature, or we are part of the nature? How do you like see that? How this is that why the story is so popular? That the human beings have a guilt that we are moving away from nature, we are not taking care of nature. Is that what addresses that story addresses?
So again, I cannot explain my story, but because this is a story, it has its explanations in it. But here, Yanni doctor, elephant doctor, Dr. K. Krishnamurthy, he lived up, he died at 2004. While he was living, nobody knew him. He died anonymously. Apart from a small news in Hindu newspaper, there was no obituary written for him. But after my story appeared, in 2011, he became a legend in South India now already. His life is actually taught in elementary school level in Kerala, Tamil Nadu and Kannada. Lakhs of students are studying his life. So that's the duty of a bard, to make heroes permanent in history. That's what my duty I did. So you can look into his life. He never served for elephants. He never worked for preservation of forests. He was the part of the forest ecosystem, and he lived among the animals as an animal. That's a way of liberation. That's the only thing I can say about Dr. K's life. So other than these lines, Dr. K is actually expressing himself in this story very clearly. So I cannot interpret his words. I am presenting him before you, and you can understand him very directly. And I saw a very curious thing. I published the story at 2011, and there are a lot of variations appeared for this story. Sometimes I used to visit in a friend's house. Small children used to come to me and they began to tell the story of elephant ant. Some children add some kind of magical things in the story. But every children actually have their own version of elephant ant. That's the way of stories propagating itself. Stories, the natural culmination of a good story is becoming a myth. Now already elephant doctor is a myth. Through that myth, small children can easily understand the message of elephant ant. If the child is very small age, she can understand very clearly. If she become older, she has a lot of questions and confusions. That's the thing I have to say, that it makes you feel the message of elephant ant.
We'll take one more question and then we'll have a signing event. Last question.
I work as a teacher, elementary teacher, and when we teach writing, how to write, there is always like collect your seeds, so get your ideas first, and then drafting, and then writing, and then revising. There is a huge number of steps. But when you said like I start with a sentence, which is so different than how we teach. So is there like any advice for the young writers or like?
So there are a lot of techniques of writing. I used to teach the techniques of writing in various places. Actually, I was conducting a novel writing class a few days ago. But you are learning the techniques to forget it. Until you forget the technique, you cannot write originally. So a martial artist is actually learning his techniques. He is practicing the techniques, and he makes the techniques as his body trait, and he just forget it. So I know the techniques of writing. See, while I'm reading a 10 page of any novel, I can easily say the technique of the writing. But how the story will go, I can easily say, because I know the technique very well. But as a master of art, I simply forgot the techniques many years ago. So the technique is already with me in my dreams and in my hands. So I never plan or never correct or never rewrite any story. I never reread my story. I gave the story to the editors, and they would correct some factual errors or something, and they used to publish. So you have to teach the techniques of the storytelling to your students, but if they can practice this for years, then naturally they will forget it. So if you are learning violin, you have to learn the technique of violin. You have to make severe practicing. Then after a period of time, you forget the violin. You have to imagine the music. The violin will sing the music. That's the difference.
Madan, the one question, he was raising that hand last time.
Yeah, this is one more question.
I had a similar question about your writing style, but preferably answer it in Tamil if possible.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And Arthur will be available for next 30 minutes. And if you want to have a chat with them and get it signed, you're welcome to. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Jeyamohan. Thank you too for moderating this event, for doing such a wonderful job this evening. If you are able to, if you could please just, and again, only if you're able to, just lift up your chair and put it against the wall, and that'll clear this space immediately for everyone. Our signing line is actually going to take place